Park was different. It was different.
Hell yeah.
Island Park was different. But I just look back, everybody was driving to the spot then.
So these were people with jobs.
People with jobs. There were people with jobs. Nobody rode bikes or walked to the spot back then.
Were there nickels and dimes?
Dimes.
But that didn't even start in the beginning.
That didn't even start in the beginning. And
what was it about
it? What the dime was probably, yeah, I think it descended quickly though. The nickel thing took a while to happen.
Because that was when I was
50s. It was 50s and 100s was the standard
of crack.
Of crack.
Oh wow! What was 100? Like a half an 8-ball or something?
Yeah, yeah. But you know that was the same time where the whole streets, the prices started to plummet.
Yeah.
That was that same summer where.
Because I remember when half a track, which was 1.5, would be about $55, $60. Right.
That was like that summer where prices.
I remember when 8 balls. Ounces of crack were cheap. Well, $5.50.
See what I'm saying?
And then $6.50 was regular.
That was that era. So the
Which
price
is pretty shot. I mean, that's $60 an 8-ball.
That's showing you how much dope they were bringing.
It's like $18 a gram or something.
In New York.
It had some cut, but whatever. It's still $18 a gram.
Right. In New York, they went down. It was on the streets. They were about selling grams at $20-$25.
Of really good stuff.
Fish scale.
Close to untouched.
Fish scale, Poppy. Fish scale.
$20.
Seafood diet.
And that means you didn't have to buy 1,000. You could buy 2 grams.
Yeah.
Or 1 gram.
Yeah. So the 80s, I was watching that movie Snowfall, which started off good, like all those kind of shows. By the second, third season, they just
it becomes a soap opera.
It loses all semblance to reality.
Yeah.
It started, but it did.
Freeway Rick is upset at John Singleton. Boy, he stole his. He didn't even. He could have put him on and said, "Here's 100 bands, be a consultant." They could just throw him a bone. They didn't.
Nothing.
No.
So I'm like, even though it is blatantly obvious that he took the Freeway Ricky story,
and not only the Freeway Rick story, to make it successfully feel like, oh, this is what LA was like in '82. Someone's got to tell you a lot of just, this is how we wore our hat. This is our slang. Oh, well, the Bloods and Crips wasn't around then, but on Easter of 83, you started seeing them, or whatever the case may be. Someone's got to tell you all those details.
I wondered about that, but he didn't bring Freeway into it.
No, he didn't. No, Freeway was
Hollywood's fucked up like that.
So
Hollywood's
I'm supposed to interview someone as part of the BMF thing, and they're upset about
the show.
Oh, of course, but I knew all that. We know that from White Boy Rick and all that.
Right.
So we kept your story close to the cuff.
Yeah.
Rather control it and make slow, long money, and then maybe an opportunity arises, but to let someone else control your story, your family story.
It doesn't.
And they're not going to give you $20 million.
Right. You're going to get $50,000 until you go about your business.
And you get to be in the movie.
Maybe. Now we can figure out a little bit better on our own.
Facts. We done already lacked that.
A bunch of times. But so I feel for them, but so there shouldn't be a BMF, as you know, right now.
No, well, people are saying, I'm pulling up in my own neighborhood and the streets are blocked off, and you're talking about I can't walk around, and then I look and it's like, the characters, the scene is based on me, and then you're telling me I can't walk around my own neighborhood.
Right, what the fuck?
I guess people upset.
Yeah. Well, what about this whole convergence as Hollywood and the streets? I was saying something that I think us people
really converging. It's Hollywood preying. That's how predatory Hollywood is. They can prey on the streets. Think about that.
Yeah. Because I was thinking it reminds me of hip hop. In the early days.
Oh, yeah.
Remember how, because I was in New York again after that summer of '87 and dealing with Eddie, Righteous Rev, that building on Geneva. The Righteous Rev.
And that building that my father grew up in and that you then had, that ended when a guy electrocuted himself doing some stolen electricity.
In '88. Right? Never forget, so a year fast forward, if I go back in the story, me and Eddie are driving down Hamilton. I
got a picture of my father in front of that building.
Yeah, we're driving down Hamilton and we see the ambulance and the first responders, right? Because we were
EMS. They call it in Detroit.
On our way back to the building, and we pull up about 2 blocks from Geneva, North. I think we're at North.
Oh God, that
block, North. We pulled up on North and asked somebody, and they was like, your man had somebody in there.
They don't know about North.
They don't know about North. They had the man trying to do something. He hit the wrong thing. Gas hit him. Rest in peace. And yeah, the building never reopened after that.
Yeah, no, I just remember it as a Hulk looming over Hamilton.
Yeah. I mean, it was like a castle.
And Highland Park was the Detroit of Detroit.
Yeah, and
it was like all the bad things about Detroit.
The big man had spent some money fixing it up when he first got out. He remodeled it and
oh, really?
Yeah,
Who was living there in 83, 84? Still okay or?
Okay, a lot, but mostly...
It was nicer than who qualified to be in it, probably.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He just wanted it okay, nice. Okay.
He wanted okay, and then he wanted, because who was it? Jimmy Hurley was one of the tenants there.
Who's that?
Jimmy Hurley, the Hurley family's big. They had the gas station on Hamilton and 6 Mile.
That was a black owned?
That was black owned. Then he had his own party store and liquor store. But the Hurley family, shout out to them, old time Highland Park entrepreneurs. Mm-hmm. Yeah. They owned a bunch of property and ran around the streets too. But yeah, so we were saying about 87.
And you're saying the confluence of hip hop,
right? So I remember when hip hop when it began, because I ended up moving to New York because my dad didn't appreciate the fact that I had paid myself without his permission $200,000,
and you had to do a little money laundering.
And
as we talk about in Motown Mafia,
I mean, we want to talk about this whole money line, how that thing actually keeps going. So anyway, yeah, I'd overpaid myself about $200 large, and they were like, "You need to go away and get
Courtney.
Get your life together, young
Courtney.
Because you got issues right now," which I did. To be totally honest, a lot of issues. But so when I get to New York in '87, people like Eric B, Dougie Fresh, Slick Rick, they were known in our community, but they weren't known in the greater society at all, right?
Even outside of New York.
And even today, like right now, Big Meech is a big deal, and he's known in our community. But if we were to go out to Birmingham and interview 100 people,
only a few would know.
Only a few would know who Big Meech is. But that's going to change.
It is.
That's going to change. These these characters, the Frank Matthews and the Big Meeches and Eddie Jack, and all these people who are in our culture already names people know. But Hollywood seems to be content upon, because you got Will Smith about to play Nicky Barnes.
Yeah.
Well, everybody in our community already knew who Nicky Barnes was. Now the world's about to know who Nicky Barnes was.
Movies are so insidious because when you take a guy, let's just talk about these black gangster films. When you take a Denzel Washington or Will Smith, who are real movie stars, women love them, guys want to be them, and you have them, even if they're trying to play a low down snake, they're still who they are. So you're gonna like them. Whereas the real Nicky Barnes and the real Frank Lucas is something that the average person can't really conceptualize.
Yeah, timing was everything. We were out in Hollywood first pitching this thing.
Motown.
We'll get to that thing because we brought up something we were talking earlier about Ben Horowitz. Shout out to Ben Horowitz. Anyway, he hooked us up with a guy named Michael
Andreessen Horowitz, and that's
Andreesen Horowitz, Masters of the Universe, Silicon Valley, that crew again.
Your college buddy.
Remember that note, but in that same trip,
Courtney Brown got my little documentary that I helped him make, Motown Mafia, a little Detroit liquor store DVD, watched by Michael Ovitz. Who, if you don't know who that is, in any given year, when they put those magazines, top 10 Hollywood power players, some years he's been number one.
Yeah. So,
and he watched it and he said, this is really good. But I don't. This is a $50 million movie, and I don't even know who makes $50 million movies because I make $300 million movies.
Right, named Iron Man.
Yep. And I want to send you guys to somebody, but I don't even know them people.
Yeah, and in that same trip, David Horowitz, Ben's dad, kind of famous conservative pundit.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna get into. I'm just saying, David Horowitz is my guy. Guy over the years has been nothing but stand up with me. I don't know some people in my community, people got issues and problems with him.
Well, he feels like he knows a lot about the Black Panther, like their inner workings, and he's just exposing it.
Yeah. So, but he tells me, as we're in Ben's 6,000 square foot guest house. The guest house is 6,000 square foot, right?
The casita.
And he says, Courtney, you know what the real story is? Because he like read the whole Motown Mafia book in like 45 minutes. You know, he was like, oh, that's a pretty good story, Courtney. And he's like, but you know what the real story is? He's like, why did you let me in to my son's guest house?
Facts.
And why are we here in the same
You could
room?
open the movie right there.
Right.
So we're throwing these names around. So his buddy, Ben Horowitz, who entertained him and us with the movie and who's his friend from college days, he's partners in something called Andreessen Horowitz. The other partner, Mark Andreessen, is who developed Netscape, the first important internet browser. These people are billionaires.
Multi-billionaires.
They're along with Sequoia Capital and Andreessen Horowitz, those are the two most important venture capital firms in Silicon Valley.
Period. Yeah,
Period.
That's a fact.
And that's your buddy, and he walked us down the road with Motown Mafia degree. But that's your homeboy, and that's whose dad you were talking to.
Right.
So you opening a movie with you being led into the home of one of the most important venture capitalists on planet Earth, because he's your old friend, to check out your gangster story about your dad, that's more unique than even The Godfather than anything.
Yeah, and his dad actually...
There's more senators than there are Ben Horowitzes.
Oh, way more. Way more. Way more. And
There's
also...
3 or 4 Ben Horowitzes and there's 100 senators.
And just really a good guy. And just one of the few people, I will say this about Ben, though. I met a lot of smart people. But he's the kind of guy you talk to him about an hour, you realize he's smart on a different level. On different kind of smart. Yeah, different kind of smart. Different kind of smart. But yeah, so American Gangster had just come out. And Ovitz, when he was talking to his friends at the studios, come back and said, you got 2 problems. 1, the budget that this movie would be. 2, they just made the movie. And it was it made me mad, but it made me give me more understanding. He said, Courtney, you say, and I say maybe, this is different than the Frank Lucas.
But it's people are in Iowa that it's Saturday afternoon, they just want to see a movie. How many black gangster movies from the 70s they're going to see?
We did
1.
That's what they said.
They'll see 1.
They said
and it was a good movie, they'll just watch that one again.
We've already done the 1970s Kingpin story. And the funny thing was, the time frame they gave us, come back in 10 years.
Well, it's been 10 years.
And now, Will Smith.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So what, we supposed to wait another 10?
No, but there's no platform.
The landscape has changed, baby.
There was no Apple TV then. There was no Hulu.
Tubi.
Epics.
YouTube, Facebook.
None of that. To show you how... I was thinking, man, Al, when we were in LA...
Is this a vintage?
This is the real McCoy.
Just like 80. This is from like 86.
Shout out to...
Still like new.
Shout out to Strictly Sportswear, 7 Mile and Fenmore, Detroit. Shout out to Kathy and that crew. A Detroit apparel legend. That's where I get all my felines. The real, you know,
call it
campaign.
He calls it feli.
You know, they don't know. The real Pontorito, made in Italy, understand, campaign hat, made famous by that organization known as YBI, Young Boys Incorporated.
Shout out to the Dexter boys.
Yeah, shout out to all of them. And yeah, so yeah, we try to, you know, I'm got a point, you know, I have to say I'm going through a midlife crisis, so I do a lot of 80s. I find myself dressing like I dressed.
It's a good era. You look good.
And it was a very good
And
time.
I know you enjoy the company of the younger young ladies.
And they like it. The chicks dig it, Al. The chicks dig it.
That's all it's really.
The chicks dig it.
I mean, you know.
in the end.
What else is there? Yeah.
What else is there? After you didn't survive what we didn't survive and all of that. So yeah, that's just been a crazy journey. So
hey, so what's up with, you said, I don't want to say too much about Steve, but he had...
Yeah, I'm surprised with you and all, but you've been in Cali. You've been in Cali. He just, as the stand-up guy that he did without, you know, because he's a private person like that. But some shit...
They don't even know what we're talking about.
Yeah, some shit he didn't even have nothing to do with.
But you heard through the grapevine.
Yeah, that it was going to be better for him to say he had something to do with it.
Wow.
But it was a very short period of time.
When does it get out?
I think maybe like now, like this week, next month, something like that.
Oh, reach out to him, huh?
Yeah. Because
I got a little light coming home present for him.
Yeah, he's just a straight, really stand-up guy.
He is. No, he's very, very intelligent, solid guy.
Yeah. So.
How long was he? Like 2 years or something?
Yeah, like 18 months. Shit.
Oh wow.
I mean, definitely could. And it would have been for the other person had he not been.
He had been at his job a long time and stuff. I don't know what happened.
But you know, the thing that I think he's got going for him, his name is so good around this town. And in all circles.
Yes.
Above, in the streets, out of the streets, people like him because people recognize him.
Yeah, he's a good person.
He's just a good person. So he'll bounce back and get back on his feet real quick. And you know, his family's done well, you know, in the professional world.
Believe me, I know.
Yeah, so he's good. He's good.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. How's your dad doing?
Dad's good. Turned 82 a few months ago in February. Right. So, you know, this whole thing just fascinates him still.
Shout out to hashtag Mr. Big Brown.
To the field marshal, the professor, you know, that guy, you know. Just what a life he had lived, and what a life he has allowed me and my sister and the rest of the family to live. You know, because truly he never got in, as you know the story, he never got in it to get rich.
30 years old.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I was thinking if we get a chance to do it on a big level, I would open it with this scene. So his father worked up to about 30 driving a Detroit City bus. And during the 1967 riot, he actually participated with helping the police transport prisoners. I mean, they all weren't black, but probably more than half were.
I'm sure.
And then he had an incident where he had the gun pulled out. And he's like, I'm driving the bus. I got my uniform on. And that probably was a precipitating incident of him realizing, well, no matter what I do, this American dream thing isn't really for me right now. So I'm going to do what I need to do.
I think that, and again, you being an intelligent man yourself, David Horowitz, again, a bounce back to him when he read the book. He says, you know, that was the day that changed your life.
Oh, he said the same thing. It's very apparent. I mean,
that was the turning.
Because he's participating in, okay, I'm not only am I not breaking the law, I'm part of the system. I'm the bus driver, and then a riot happens, and I'm working with the police.
I'm taking prisoners to Bel Air.
While in my uniform.
With
these
my wife and
hillbilly-ass National Guard from Tennessee, wherever they drug him up from, draw down on me.
With my wife and kids.
That'll make me say,
fuck the system.
Yeah, I'm not stopping at no red lights. All of the above.
It doesn't behoove me. Yeah. And
why bother?
And then you're looking at your buddy who's already said,
come with me.
Come with me.
Who's your childhood friend?
8
years old.
You see what I'm saying? And you're like, yeah. So yeah, Halloween 1970 was Pop's last day working.
Halloween 1970.
1970. He ain't had a job since.
But he ain't had no work, but he had that work.
Yeah. He had a lot of jobs after that. Had a lot of jobs after that. That was reminding me that summer we were talking about, 87. I don't see him for a couple of days. And you know, you come in, you see your father, and he's taking off his jacket and stuff. And he's got he undoes his jacket, he's got a kilo tape to his chest and another one on his back. He had slid down in the Bahamas. So it was supposed to be just for a conversation with old boy.
Well, it went well.
And he says, though, you know, when we got down there, and I was like, I started thinking, I'm already here with fake ID and everything. And why not? You know?
Guy told us in Chicago.
Why not?
Flores twins.
So yeah, Pop was different.
Would give you a key. He probably gave him that work because
he did.
Guy told us in Chicago, Flores twins would give you a couple bricks to get out their face, or you just show thanks for having lunch with us. Take two.
Yeah.
You don't know. Just take two.
Yeah.
Probably gave your dad a couple. Just get your beak wet.
Well, you're here, so I think it was more like you're here, so
take a couple
with you.
Get a little working capital,
and then you can send your pictures. And send us back.
So, did you want to ask me any questions?
I did. Where's my cheat sheet? My no cheat sheets. Right there on the next to the booze I got.
There you go, young gentleman.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Get this a little bit closer to you because you keep coming in.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No problem.
I'll sit up. That's the problem.
There we go. All right, cool.
All right, so this is some stuff that our fan base always asks us about, and I know you and Ryan, if you haven't checked out Al's Frank Matthews story, great doc, probably I think the best. I'm not saying just because you're my guy.
It is a good documentary.
It's a good documentary.
Put a lot of work into it.
What happened to Frank Matthews? That's the question the fans always. What's your working theory on what happened to Frank Matthews?
Well, I've thought of I've added a new wrinkle of possibilities. He didn't get killed. the feds think he's alive. Like 3 years ago when Shorty Buse, who we interviewed in there, who appeared on The Wire, Baltimore legend, when he died, the DEA lined the freeway to the cemetery with Frank Matthews wanted posters.
Wow.
They ain't do that just to be doing something. They know he's alive.
Wow.
So, this is what I don't have any information that this is true, but here's yet another possibility. What if there's another federal agency that ran interference so the DEA and the marshals don't somehow, someone at FBI or the CIA...
Sounds like CIA kind of shit.
...protected him.
NSA, CIA, those kind of guys.
Because the CIA, that's where you have a separation from everything else, where there's no information leak. Because FBI and DEA work together so much, and marshals, they're all kind of the same thing.
Right.
But
NSA, CIA.
and listen, when we were interviewing Lou Rice, I mean, we mentioned it's in a documentary. They got a call of a guy that looked just like the aged picture of Frank Matthews, black male, the same age, looked like how he was supposed to look aged, living in Durham. But it wasn't him. They went and interviewed, like they got the guy.
And what was weird, I think it's in your doc. They're saying even in Durham right now,
people say they see
people
him.
don't, and people that grew
Won't
up
talk about
don't like. They like don't.
But
don't,
they say that means they see him.
Yeah, like don't be down here asking questions about.
No, I think that there's it's likely as anything else is that some other federal agency ran interference, and the only one that can really run interference at that level is the CIA.
Yeah.
And because he had too much info to give. And he was probably smart enough to protect himself from death, because they know they'd get rid of him.
Right.
Like, I'm going to leave these documents to boo, boo, boo.
Yeah.
And, I mean,
That's
I'm not saying that's true, but the mob didn't kill him.
Mob didn't kill him.
He ain't in Africa.
And what's his name?
He's alive.
John
Liddy Jones.
Liddy Jones. Didn't know till watching it at the same time that H. Ross Black was representing Eddie Jackson, his partner, who was F. Lee Bailey. Frank Matthews had hired him to represent one of his guys.
Out of Bodymore Murderland.
Yeah.
Eddie Jones.
Yeah. And who the smallness again of the world at that level. Mickey Beckworth, Frank Matthews' number 2 man, and my dad, Eddie Jackson's number 2 man, actually became good friends, and all the way.
Did they ever do business or don't know?
Yeah, no, I do know.
Oh, okay.
Because Mickey had a.
This was after Frank went away, or
this is after they both get out.
Oh,
Because
so
Mickey and the old man met in Atlanta.
Oh, in the early '80s.
Early '80s, they met. They were doing time together in Atlanta.
Was that now? Maybe we can end with a little fun story. So your dad was so Ike Atkins has always downplayed his money and all that, but you see your dad told you that they would be sitting in a cell gambling in Atlanta USP with.
Right, you knew definitely Ike Atkins.
Big.
What was his partner, John Jackson?
Yeah, something like that. Something Jackson.
John Jackson. That Ike Atkins, John Jackson, his partner, Carmen Tremonti,
Yep.
the members of the Lucchese family, who were. Because at this time, Atlanta is where they sent.
There was only like 6 USPs.
Atlanta was one of the places.
Because Lewisburg and Atlanta got all the East Coast and Midwest gangsters.
So it was a who's roster in Atlanta.
Murderers Row, literally.
Of late 70s, early 80s, right?
Or 6. Well, some of them guys was in. I mean, Jimmy Hoff was in Lewisburg. It was everybody.
Right, and no, he was like Ike Atkins was handling money. He's telling me stories about Ike Atkins and them in their cell with the mob, and these guys got $500,000 cash.
1980 in the U.S. penitentiary.
Cash money inside the joint, playing poker, cell door open.
I mean, that's beyond corruption.
Yeah. And back then, the mob had a lot of influence in the joint.
Absolutely.
So that seemed
well,
like...
they had, though, at Atlanta specifically, all the remnants of the French Connection, like 3 French Connection people were whacked in the space of like 2 months.
Vince Papa.
Did your dad know him?
Yeah, he says that Vince Papa reached out to him.
That's the guy that was stealing the heroin and cocaine from the New York police evidence locker and putting it back on the street. Before he stole the French Connection dope.
And you know the craziness of the world?
If it ever even went into evidence.
It was an early case of Rudolph Giuliani before he even got fame, the Vince Papa case. And now that time has passed.
Rudy Giuliani, they just went in his apartment today.
Just went
The
in.
feds went in his apartment
To show
today.
you that this guy has been up to some mischief. Some people blame him for Vince Papa's death because they say that his office leaked information.
By accident?
By accident, yeah, right?
Wow, I did not know that.
Which is what got him in hot water with the Lucchese and Gambino crime families.
Wow.
So, but to show that Vince Papa was a real OG, so they're telling him, everybody knows there's about to be a green light on his head. The feds are saying we can put you in witness protection. His friends in the joint are saying, man, at least take a transfer because Atlanta's full of mob people. And Vince Papa, the old man is having conversations with him. He's telling them, Vince Papa's like, I'm not running. I ain't taking no transfers. I ain't going to no witness protection. He cut into the old man and to some other guys who he knew had access to the Italians to be able to tell them. And I'm just like, I'll mention it, but I'm really not trying to get too deep involved in this situation. He was like, all he think, tell the guy, I've not rolled over. This is some bullshit. And it may have been the feds.
But but their rule is, if you ain't one of them, why risk it?
They hit him.
Herbie Sperling oversaw. He was charged with hiring some guys, and the guys got convicted. Sperling didn't.
Herbie Sperling and the old man in Atlanta had, I think it was called
Hardcore. That's the Jewish
Hebrew,
hardcore
yeah,
gangsters.
it was like the Jewish education class they helped run together.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Herbie Sperling was
No,
real. He just died in the joint
Old
just
school.
now.
Old school.
Herbie Sperling was in from 74 till a couple of years ago when he died.
Yeah, he was old school gangster.
Nicky Barnes, when Nicky Barnes decided he wanted to snitch, they wanted to see was he playing around. So they had him set up Herbie Sperling's son. So Nicky went to Herbie Sperling in prison and set up a heroin for cocaine trade on the streets with Herbie Sperling's son. And they put Herbie Sperling's son in, and that's what let him know, like, oh, Nicky's for real, because he set up Herbie Sperling's son, and then they let him tell on the whole Harlem contingent.
Wow. So, yeah, man. Yeah.
Nicky Barnes is a girl.
Yeah, I've seen that interview. No, he's worse than a girl is what he goes. He goes and...
I don't want to disrespect faggots.
That's what he's... Yeah, right. He's an old school G, and it's crazy. You know, I think on Eddie's channel, he says something. His father, the smallest of the world, was working in the kitchen the first time, because I think Nicky was in Leavenworth. It was in Leavenworth. That's where the big man was at.
Oh, okay.
And the first day they walked him through the kitchen with the ninja outfits.
Oh, and they took him out they had him in the black hood.
And the big man was working in the kitchen. And
he did see him, yeah.
And he was like, oh,
damn.
fuck, they got my man in the ninja outfit.
He knows a lot of things.
He knows, yeah, they got, and that's basically the way the story got back to me. The big man was like, oh, fuck, they got my man. Because Eddie knew Nicky from back in the day, in the 70s. And he was like, oh, they got my man.
I wonder if he had some fear. Well, he was
already locked up on the case.
But he could have got another case. Yeah. Or they could use his leverage like, well, we couldn't get you another case. You need to tell us.
Nicky had a lot of other people to tell on.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's something, boy, you learn.
Same bail bondsman, though.
Oh, that's another
Gold Fires.
That's another story.
What do you mean?
When we going to get the Gold Fires on for interview?
God rest his soul. God rest the priest. Irving. Irving passed many years ago. Chuck.
No, but isn't Chucky's
Chuck's still around.
So for those that we're going to end on this, or mine is going to end.
Yeah.
So when Nicky Barnes needed to get bailed out, he had to come to Detroit, right downtown.
Obion.
So all of you guys that go to Fishbones right across the street, go for our bail bonds. That's who got Nicky Barnes out.
Yeah, people don't even know. Those guys, you know, they're serious people. And been a great guy, I talked to Chuck maybe 3-4 years ago. I was some coffee bonding, different kind of bonding issues with a custom bond, importing coffee, but he's like that.
He did it with your cafe. So tell us about that. Your Cafe Nzango.
Cafe Casino, so important coffee. The pandemic set us back a little bit. We'll get that back popping soon. Prior to the pandemic, we are the largest importers of coffee.
Well, you're growing it.
Well, yeah, we're hooked up with a gentleman, Miguel, who owns the coffee plantation.
The land in Angola.
In Angola.
So Africans own it, African Americans
selling it. So, what our
hashtag Detroit Black Business.
Hashtag Detroit Black Business. So, yeah, that's all going down. And so, yeah, Chuck Gofar gave me a little insight on that whole thing. It was Chuck that told my dad to send my sister to Cranbrook, because that's where his kids went. That's why it's important to have friends who know things that you might
Who've
not
experienced, who've walked the path ahead of you,
know. Yes.
and can pass the information
on to you.
And that's what's not going on in the streets now. The only information they passing is
They're not telling their kids
locked up.
to send your kids
Man,
to
them
this
guys
private
don't even know who
school.
their kids are.
Yeah. Whole different conversation. Well, Al, appreciate the hell out of you, fam.
Thank you. Motown Mafia for
Motown
life.
Mafia for life.
American Dope.
Yeah, American Dope in the house. Motown Mafia podcast, Big Boss Filmworks, all that. Brother Lou putting in yeoman's work behind the scene as
Lou
always.
Stevens, go follow him on IG.
Making it happen. So
He need that big bag. He
we
already
do.
got a medium bag. He
Yeah,
need that
yeah,
medium. He
we-
need that big bag.
you know, and that's all I was just saying. You know, 6 figures a long time ago. You know, 7 we didn't had that before in life.
We need that 10.
But I never had 10.
Well, what's up?
I'll be honest, I never
What
had
you trying to
10.
get into?
That's what I'm saying.
What you trying to get into?
I'll be looking at the flame, you can imagine at night out the window there, right? Looking past, and I'll be like,
Listen, say less, do more.
yeah. I was like,
That's
10,
it.
10,
We're going to get these 10.
10. 10 is
10.
Because inflation, cost of living and everything. Al Prophet in the house, American Dope. Make sure, I know you probably already know, but if you don't know, big things. What's your other channel real quick? You got
AMD Life.
AMD
Our
Life.
music design, AMD Life, youtube.com/AMD Life.
And just, I got to say, I am so proud. You know, we met 10, 11 years ago to see what you've done with the channel.
Thank you so much.
I be going around town. I be like feeling some kind of way. They be like, you Al Prophet's man. I'm like, hold on, no, that's my man. I'm not Al Prophet's man. But that's good.
We're each other's man.
Each other's man.
But the 10 years have passed really fast because it's been an easy relationship to have, which is what a real grown man friendship should be. Facts.
We out.
10.
10 figures, that is. Yeah. Peace out.
All right. Hey, we can do that every goddamn